iZotope just launched their new membership program. For only $19.99, you can get access to all their plugins and they will always stay up to date. All you just have to do is just update them. As long as you're part of this membership, you don't have to pay an extra cost for updating the plugins, and you get so much more content with this membership, and it opens up so much, and it's a really good thing. And I am subscribed to the Producers Club, so they have 3 membership plans. They have for producers, for engineers, and for artists. So you have to choose which one you want. But the one that I chose was the iZotope Producers Club. That's the one that really suits what I do the most. The Producers Club costs $19.99 per month and you can cancel anytime. If I just want to try it, I can try it. But if I feel like I want to cancel it and I'm good, or maybe I finished working on the project that I was working on, I can easily cancel it. And I get all the industry standard plugins to use. And you also get production lessons from Berkeley Online. You also get royalty-free sample packs and presets and exclusive tutorials as well. And if you know iZotope, you know their plugins are worth the money, but they are expensive if you are to purchase them on their own. But this membership allows much more producers that cannot afford this once-off payment to be able to use the plugins for a certain period of time. Again, you can cancel anytime. So if you have a big project that you need to work on and you want to use these plugins, you can join the membership and you can use the plugins, and then you can cancel, and then that's it. No losses there. One thing I love about this plugin is that they have an AI feature that listens to your music or whatever track you're playing, and then it sets up a preset that is specifically made for your sound. So if you're struggling with something, you can use that. So let's say you're struggling with your bass, for instance. You don't know how to mix your bass. So I can use Mix Assistant to assist my mix because I want my bass to really stand out. All I just have to do is just play it, and then I click Mix Assistant, and here on Mix Assistant you can see that you can pick the track enhance or the balance, but I'm gonna pick the track enhance. Go next, and you have to choose what instrument it is. It can auto detect, or you can choose which one it is. I'm gonna choose bass, and you can choose the style and intensity. I'm gonna pick up front, and the intensity I'm gonna leave it on medium, or I can choose high if I really want it to be punchy. And I'm gonna go next, and then it's gonna start listening, analyzing the audio. It will set up a signal chain. It will set up everything that it needs to set up and adjust all the elements that it's gonna add to this chain and make sure that it comes out dope. Listen to that. So this is without, and this is with. Remember, I chose upfront. It suggested some settings that are upfront. You can see here the EQ, it added some low end here and some mid-range there, and it also added an exciter and a compressor. And remember, this is just a starting point. This is a suggestion that it gives to you so that you can have somewhere to start, and you can definitely customize these. Maybe if you want to turn them down a little bit, you can do that. And if you want to maybe change the chain, like rearrange the chain, you can just drag like that, and you move all these effects around. And I love that they have a big mix knob here, so you can change the mix of each of these effects and the intensity it's applying to your sound, like that. In case maybe it missed the mark, it overdid the effect. Because remember, it's suggesting a preset that it thinks works well for the signal that you will have run it through. So that's what's nice about these plugins. They have this auto feature. And with Ozone is very popular. That's a mastering plugin. You can also use it for mastering. So I can drop it right here. So if you struggle with mastering and you don't know where to start, you can use Master Assistant. So that's how my track is sounding, right? And I can just choose Master Assistant, and I can pick from these settings how I want my master to come out. So there's a modern and a vintage, and the loudness and EQ, you can choose a manual. You can choose the intensity of how the EQ and loudness is going to be. And you can also pick from a reference. If you have a reference track, you can load up a reference track so that it can target the sound and the quality of that reference track. So I'm just going to choose manual, and I'm going to leave it on medium. And the destination, so you have to know where your track is going to go or where you're mastering it for. Are you mastering it for CD or for streaming? Here, I'm just going to leave it on streaming. That's totally fine. Then I'm going to go next. And then it waits for me to play the audio. So I'm going to play the audio and then it's going to start listening and apply the settings that it suggests for this track. And then when it's done, you just click accept and then voila, there you go. It already set it up for you. And as it was adding these changes and adding these effects, I could hear the track actually changing and sounding much, much better than it was before. I could hear some instruments really coming out. Like one instrument that stood out for me with the mix that it applied here was the snare. It's much more clearer than it was before. I can actually hear it. So you can see here there's an EQ. It added some mid-range and some high mids, and it took down a lot of bass that was in the track because I think the bass was a bit too much, and some of the high end it rolled off a little bit. So this is without, and this is with. Sounds great. So we have an empty dynamics here. I think it felt like it didn't need the dynamics to be there. And then we have a dynamic EQ. You can see that dynamic EQ is reacting to certain frequencies when they reach a certain threshold. And that's really good. And I like that it picks out the certain frequencies that are problematic. It really picked those out and is taming them so that they are not too much. So it picked out like 4 frequencies that like this one here on the low mids, and this one here in the mid-range and the high mids, and also in the high end here. And it also has a maximizer. The maximizer is what will give you that overall volume. And you can see the ceiling is minus 1.0 dB and my threshold is set at a really nice place. But again, you can also tweak these settings if you want it to be louder or you want it to be softer. So you don't have to commit to these settings, you can tweak them. That's one thing I love about this plugin, is that it gives you suggestions instead of just presets that are pre-made for you to just throw on your music and then that's it. But it can listen to your music using this AI technology and you get going. So what you get also with this is that you also get other plugins as well. You get tonal balance, you get vocal synth, and you also get relay, and you also get Neoverb as well. So Neoverb, I've done a video about that. It's a reverb plugin. Like let's say for instance, if I have this track right here, that's on number 6. There we go. I can just throw on Neoverb Pro. It also has a reverb assistant. So I can pick that. And here we go. I can choose the style. If I want it dramatic or realistic, can do that. And maybe I want it, I think medium is fine. And how much of the percentage of this effect do I want? Maybe just 50% is okay, or maybe I can drop it to 40%. And the tone of the reverb, I want it a bit dark, not too bright. Then next, and then it waits for the audio, then I can just play. So you can see what it did here. It added an auto cut. It cleaned up the input signal by creating custom pre-EQ curve, and it also added an unmasking, comparing the wet and dry signal to create custom reverb EQ curve. So here we go. So this is without, and this is with. That actually sounds good. And again, you can tweak this if you want to. But I think it sounded really good where it was. And I love that it comes with a pre-EQ and a reverb EQ so that you can play around with it. So these are all industry standard tools that you get if you subscribe to this membership. It opens up so much. And you can also use all these effects like as a single effect. Like you can use, if you just want a compressor from Neutron, you can just pick it up and you just throw it on your track, and then you can just get a compressor without having to load up the whole chain or the whole thing, and then you're good. And also they come with a lot of presets that are in the plugin themselves. So I'm going to show you how you can use these plugins also on vocals. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to pick Neutron Pro and I'm going to throw it on a vocal track. Here's my vocal track here, and I'm going to play this vocal without this effect.
I know you still love me. I know the feeling is mutual. Miss what we used to do.
It sounds good, but it can get better. So we're going to try out Neutron Pro and the Mix Assistant to see what it can come up with, what kind of a starting point it can give us to create a really nice starting point for this vocal. So I'm going to pick Mix Assistant, Track and Hands. There we go. And I'm going to pick what it is. It's a voice, so it's vocals. And I want it to be upfront, and intensity, I want it to be medium. I don't want it to be too much. Pick Next, and then it's going to wait for the audio, and I'm going to play.
I know you still love me. I know the feeling is mutual.
Wow.
Miss what we used to do. Will.i.am is not the same without you.
I mean, I think you heard how it totally changed this vocal from how it was sounding. This was like a night and day difference. I love this sculptor module that it has here.
I know
it sculpts the frequencies so nicely, man. Like, listen to that.
And
you can pick the intensity and also the frequencies that it affects. Like, you just slide like this where you want it to target.
I know you still love me. I know.
And that's the EQ. You can see here it boosted a lot of the high end. I feel like it's it's a tad too much, I'm just going to drop it down a little bit because I feel like the vocals are too shiny. And some compression here.
I know you still love me.
Wow, and some exciter.
I know you still love me. I know the feeling is.
And with this exciter, you can choose which kind of sound or texture you want. You can pick the retro, the tape, the tube, or the warmth. It added the warmth preset. I mean, imagine. And I can drop down the mix if I want to. So this is without.
I know you still love me.
Did you hear that there was a little bit of some noise there in the beginning, like in the low end? I think there was a rumble there. Like, let me just play back. Just pay attention to the low end.
I know you.
There, it was like a wobble there. I'm not sure what happened there, but it's no longer there if I turn this Neutron back on.
I know you still love me.
It like cleaned all of that out. This vocal is now sounding much better. So you have a nice starting point. So either you are a professional or you're just someone who's starting out who's not really good at mixing. These plugins allow you to get a really good starting point, and then you're on your way. Stock plugins are good, but they can only take you so far. But with access to these, I'm pretty sure that your music will sound 10 times better than it does at the moment. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.